Hello, good afternoon, welcome to my humble model railway, Bedstead Junction. Today we're going to be looking at a new arrival to my layout. Now, as those of you who've been watching my previous videos, you know that I've got the LMS 440 Compound in Crimson Lake, and I wanted to get one in black, okay, because there are differences between the two. Now, I noticed this particular model on eBay for $69.99, and looking at what's on there, I'm going to read that. It first of all got a £5 off, okay, so saved a £5 on the price, and I bought this from a place called who can read that? AC Models in Eastleigh in Hampshire. You can read the address there, okay, and all the details of them there. AC Models, okay, and they're still on eBay at that price, should you fancy getting one. It's a Hornby Railroad locomotive, so it's going to be one of the more sort of budget friendly range, and it's also going to be obviously leaning on the side of being a little bit more robust, hopefully. So what we're going to do then, we'll have a look at this now. So we've got R3276 440 LMS Compound with Fowler Tender. Okay, you can see, read that there, okay, that's lovely, so you can see the details there of it. It's okay, Hornby, and you can see it's Hornby there, upside down. Would say Railroad there, but I mean it's been obscured slightly by the price ticket. Hornby Railroad, okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get this one out of the box, and we'll have a quick look at her, okay. So now what I want to do first of all is I do things in a slightly different order. Some people like to get the locomotive out and have a look at it first. I want to check it runs. I mean, that's the first thing I want to know. So it's brand new in the box, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this one out of the box, and we'll see how we go with it. Right, so let me just get the railing ramp in place. And as we unbox, so we'll have a quick look at her anyway, I think. Let's have a look. So if we put our railing ramp about there, I'd say. Right, got some rolling stock ready for it. And we'll see about opening up the box, okay. So then we'll have a quick look at it. Obviously the box is going to give you an indication of the buying experience, so to me the box is an important part of the experience. Now what I've done is, when I got this box open, I put a knife in there like that and just twist it so the blade's going up against it. Usually you find the box will pop open without any damage. So I put our implements to one side just for 1 second so we don't lose them. Especially the uncoupler. I've already lost one of those. I've no idea what I've done with it. Let's have a look and we'll see if we can get this. Yes, now it's a normal railroad packaging, and so the packaging is identical to what you would find on my other railroad models. Okay, so we're going to be coming with the same instruction leaflet, which covers the compound, county, hunt and school class locomotive. So it's a standard sheet there. Okay, so that covers all of the 440 series. It just shows you where they'd like you to oil it, where to oil it there and everything. And DCC ready. The DCC socket for this particular locomotive is in the tender. So it looks like it's just, if you want to fit DCC, obviously I'm DC on this, on this analog with my layout. So that's the literature that came with it. So the there's a bit of tape holding it together, so we'll just have to see if we can get that tape removed. There we go. I've got a fair bit of tape on this. There we are. So what I've done is I've just cut through the tape rather than try and peel it away. Cut through all the red tape. There we go. That's it. So what you've got is you've got like a kind of a covering to hold the locomotive into the box, and then it's the usual box you'll find with Hornby Railroad locomotives. So it's in a polystyrene container. The detail pack always consists of a couple of little vacuum pipes there, whatever, steam pipes, okay, and that's all you get. But then, you know, I mean, how many of us actually stick all the detailed parts on anyway? And you've got the normal packaging with the holes at the back, so you can put the locomotive out. And that's looking rather handsome in BR black, I hope you agree. Number 1072. And we'll see how easily this comes out of the pack. Right, that slipped out of the box lovely. Okay, so we'll take a closer look at it shortly. What we need to find out first of all is, does this locomotive in fact run? And then we can think about giving it an oiling and all the rest of it as well. Okay, so just put everything over to one side. Now this locomotive differs, and we'll have a look at the differences between the two in a few moments, quite shortly. It differs from the LMS Compound in Crimson Lake. Now we just put it onto the radar. Now obviously there's no sensible reason why this locomotive should not work straight out of the box, so we shall ascertain that in just a moment. I just want to check around there. Right, let's have a look. So this is LMS Compound number 1000 in black. LMS livery. Right, it moves backwards, moves forwards, yeah, moves backwards and forwards. Right, okay, so I think we're ready to couple up. They say run these locomotives in, but I mean really what I'll do is I'm just going to give it a gentle run with some carriages just to see how it goes, and then I'll give it a run in later. Right, so away we go. Right, a little bit of wheel slip there. Pulling away. That could be where the traction tyres need to bed in a little bit, because this one does come with traction tyres. Okay, so away. There's a slight wheel slip there. A bit disconcerting. Okay, we appear to be running okay now. Right, so as we can see, this locomotive is running absolutely perfectly fine. So no reason to worry about the performance of it. Now I think when we're having our close look at this locomotive, we'll look at the differences by putting the two locomotives side by side. So we've got the LMS Compound on here now. I'm going to rev the engine up just a little bit. Up to 50, we'll put her through her paces a little bit. Okay, so you can see her flying around the layout now. Right, so it seems to be pulling the train quite well now without the wheel slipping or anything like that. No sign of wheel slipping. So it could have been just the way it was sat on the track, or no, maybe the traction tyres need to just get a grip. But it looks like it's going well. It does come with a pair of traction tyres, okay. And I did discuss that about my other Compound that I bought second hand. The traction tyres were actually gone on that one. Now this one seems to be coping quite well. Now we'll have a little talk about the actual compounds themselves, because they're quite an interesting locomotive. Now at one particular point for the LMS, these were the premier locomotives before they brought in the the 460s, and I think the 462s really, I can't remember. Not too well versed on the LMS yet. So that will come when I get to buy more locomotives for the LMS. But this particular one is a Midland Railway 1000 class, and it's a design of Samuel Johnson, renewed and superheated by Dealey, and then compound by Henry Fowler. Oh, renewed as superheated Dealey compound by Henry Fowler. Builder with the Derby Works. Build date 1902 to 1909. There are 45 of these produced, and they were rebuilt between 1913 and 1928. They've got 7-foot driving wheels, which is quite interesting. That's quite large driving wheels. I think the 2P also had 7 feet driving wheels, if I remember rightly. Now, being a compound, it's an interesting principle. They're basically, it's got one high pressure cylinder in the middle, and then the 2 outer cylinder. Then the steam goes from the high pressure cylinder into the 2 low pressure cylinders on the outside. So it's basically recycling the steam. This was quite a common sight on French railways, compound locomotives. But I think this is probably one of the more successful designs on English railways. Yeah, high pressure cylinder inside the frame and 2 low pressure cylinders outside. And in fact, the only preserved example is number 1000, which we've got. I've got on the other siding. So we'll be putting the 2 locomotives side by side in just a moment, and you'll see one of the reasons why I wanted to buy this particular one. We'll try over the points as well. I don't think we should have too much trouble with it. Let's just see about pulling away as well before we come right round, because we did have a bit of a slight wheel spin to start with. So we'll see if we've got wheel spin on this now. Let's have a look. No, it's fine. It's fine, that's alright. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, that's perfect. So we're away now. So we're just going to bring this one in and we'll give it a points test. Bit of a sudden stop there. I think if that stop would have happened in reality, all the passengers would be thrown to the front of the carriage. But there we go. Let's have a look and see. So we'll just bring her in. We just set the points up. Okay. Now, what I'd say about these particular locomotives, all of the locomotives I bought so far in the Hornby Railroad class have been perfectly good performers. So I've no concerns about the performance of the locomotive. There we are, put away perfectly well there. Over the points, just check it will clear the other train there. And then we're just going to come in now nice and gently. Gently does it. Nice control there. I'm not controlling this with my left hand, so probably potential there for a little bit of a mistake. Now, a lot of the restrictions on my layout is due to lack of space. Okay, so that's why we got the sidings, kind of ending right on the side here, and we got the curve there right way close to the edge, because I'm trying to maximise what I can do in a 6-foot by 4-foot space. Okay, but you can see the 2 LMS compounds together there, and we'll zoom in slightly. Now, I don't know if you can see, but the main differences between the 2, obviously you've got the colour on them, okay. The lettering I think is similar. Obviously it's 1000 for the Crimson Lake and 1072 for the black one. And because it's black, you've got no colour differential between the smoke box and the boiler, okay. And also I've noticed that on the you guys should zoom in enough for this. The whistle well, a safety valve, sorry, just there. That's painted in a kind of a brassy colour, just to give it, or copper colour, just to give it a metallic look. And so is the whistle. But on this one, you can see it there because it's black. But the safety valves are actually painted in black. But you've still got the whistle. We've still got the whistle there. There we go. We're on the right part of the logo now. So you've got your safety valve in black, and then the whistle is represented in metal. And I think it might even be metal. It's hard to tell from here. Now, obviously, apart from the coloration and the numbering, I should imagine that the logos are more or less identical. Okay, so they've a lot of different things you've got on these. There's moulded detail on the front of the tender there, so your brake handles and everything else is moulded in. The main difference is the tender. They say it's a Fowler tender, and yeah, there are definite differences between the two. And the main difference is, of course, you've got the well, I call it the little fence around the top, but you see there, the rack right around the top to hold the coal in. Apart from that, I think they're more or less identical. So they're different tenders, okay. And that was the main difference between the two, and that's why I wanted to get this particular version, because the tender is different. It's a 440. Now, one of the reasons why 440s were still being built at the time they were, when of course some people were thinking about going into 460s and 462s, I think they were, weren't they? Is that the Midland Railway had what they call a light engine policy. They had a policy of running lightly loaded, fast, frequent trains. Okay, and I think a lot of it may have had to have done with the infrastructure on parts of the Midland Railway. Well, I know for a fact that certainly on the Bidson branch, which, believe it or not, the Mangotsfield branch on the LMS near us in Bristol, until the bridges were strengthened, there were definite weight restrictions on the bridges there, which meant that you could only carry certain locomotives going between Mangotsfield and Bath Green Park. Okay, so these 440s were really one of the premier engines for the Midland Railway, the 1000 class. Yes, and the only number 1000 was set aside for preservation after withdrawal in 1951 and restored in 1959, close to 1914 condition. So we're basically saying that we've got this number 1000, which is the Crimson Lake, is the preserved version. And they were all withdrawn between 1948 and 1953, and they had the rating of a 4p, and the boiler pressure was 220 pound per square inch. Okay, so that gives you some kind of background knowledge of this particular locomotive. Now, what we're going to do is we've had a closer look at her there. And we're going to see if we can get her onto the Lazy Susan just quickly. I'll see if I've got time for that, because the camera's running down, believe it or not. An annoying feature of some of our cameras that we bought, they've got a half-hour recording limit, and of course you suddenly find there's very little time left to get all the details in. We'll try. Now then, let's have a look and see now. So just put the uncoupler in there. Yes, it's uncoupled. That's what I use there. It's an uncoupler, okay. And that basically lifts up the coupling and separates them. You can see I've just done that there. So now we can put our number 1000 on here. And this is one of the reasons why I put a piece of white paper on here. I basically got a piece of A4 paper and cut this to size, is because if you put a black locomotive on a black Lazy Susan, you're not going to be able to see it very well, are you? Okay, so there it is on the Lazy Susan. So now we can get a better look at her. Okay, you can see now you can see the tender. It's definitely got the racking on the back, whereas the other locomotive has not. LMS just the same. You've got the details underneath for the suspension, the springs and everything else. It's a 6-wheel tender. I believe there's tender pickups as well. The cab will be all black, so the main way you would liven that up is to add a crew. That's the way I usually do it. Now, something which was pointed out, and I think it's because it's a different tender, it's hard to see from here, but certainly there's quite a lot of detail on the tender in the form of rivets and everything else. You might not be able to see that very well from here. And I think that's because it's a Fowler Tender, so it probably, I think it was used on the Patriot class. Yes, it certainly was. I've got the Patriot EC Trench, which you may have seen in previous videos, and that tender is the same as on the Patriot class. The number there, 1072. You can clearly see the 440 wheel arrangement there. Moving on to the front. Yeah, they've got the number 1072 on there as well. You do not get sprung buffers, but I mean, some people, it's a bit of a kind of a thing of preference, really. Do somebody want sprung buffers or not? I mean, some people say it's the sign of a Premiership locomotive, whatever, top of the range, and you could say yes. I mean, if you're paying a lot of money for a locomotive, then yes, you would expect to get sprung buffers, perhaps. But I'm not too fussy about it, really. All the details on the smoke box there is all moulded on as well. Now, I don't know if you can see it very clearly there, but there's certainly a lot of detail just on the back of the smoke box there. I got a feeling that might be separately fitted parts on there. Now, the handrail going round, that's a nice separately fitted handrail going round, you can see. I think you've got the reversing rod. I think it might be just down there, you can see just above the splasher. There's a separately fitted handle just there. You see my finger pointing. But really, as we move round, I mean, move round to the back of the tender there, we'll get to that now. Again, you've got the, well, there's a large coupling on here, by the way. Again, solid buffers. And all the details on the back of the tender here is all moulded. And you've got the water filler cap there and everything else, all the detail there. Then moving on to the other side. Come back to the other side now. Again, virtually the same, really. There's some detail just on the front of the smoke box there, which I think is possibly moulded, but it looks quite effective. In effect, all in all, it's a very nice locomotive. Very, very nice. I mean, with a railroad model, you do expect to get the moulded on features, you know, but separately fitted parts. In many ways, I mean, it's just my personal preference, but I like there to be a happy medium between detail and durability, and certainly these will give you a fair amount of detail, as you can see, and you'll definitely get the durability. All in all, very nice locomotive. And bear in mind, I paid £69.99 for this, so what, 70 quid? Okay, which is about the right price, should be, I would say, for a railroad model of this nature. But So even the second-hand prices of a lot of railroad stuff, some of it has got quite high. You couldn't, I mean, so to get a brand new locomotive at this price, under the climate of how prices have been going up so much, I would say it's not a bad little bargain. And I say they're still available on eBay from AC Models. I've ordered them from them before, and I've always got on okay with them. Okay, they're in ECD in Hampshire. Now what we're going to do, we've got just enough time really now to put this one back onto the tracks, and then we'll put her back through her paces again. So what we're going to do is we're going to just move the station out of the way just for a second, and I'm going to just pop the quickly pop the locomotive back onto the tracks. So I think the easiest way would be just to reverse the train out using the hand from above. That's right. We'll just see if we've got this in focus on here. We'll see what I'm up to. Okay, now I always use a railing ramp, make my life easier. I've learned in my time of life, if you can make it easier, why make it hard for yourself? Now then, here we go. I just push this forward by hand just for now. We know they coupled up very, very well. That was a perfect coupling there before when I drove the train, the engine back onto the carriages. So I want to get this one underway, so you can see her back in action again. Right, so let's have a look. Just start her up. Perfect. Now a bit of wheel slip that I had initially on this particular one. I think there might have been over enthusiasm on the controller, because it's running perfectly well now, as you can see. Very, very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Now, if you like what you see, please press the thumbs up button. I've noticed this with loads of YouTube channels I've watched. Some people have got like 500 views or something. I don't get that many, of course, and they get about 15 likes. People forget to tick that like button. It does help, because it helps YouTube. I mean, it gets your profile improved on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed yet, and you want to see further videos made by me, or get to see my channel, then then please subscribe. Press that subscribe button. It don't cost you anything to subscribe. You don't need to pay a subscription. And also click on the bell symbol so you'll be alerted of any future videos. Now I am really, really over the moon with this locomotive. I mean, it's really, really nice. I'll be sitting here now in a state of absolute bliss for the next half hour or so before I go down to make my tea. And up until then, I'm going to put my station back into its rightful place as well, because our passengers are wondering what's going on there. There we go. Station's back in its place. Okay, so what I do now is I should say thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you for your interest, and I should bid you farewell and bye bye.